everyone, and welcome back to Experience Italy with Friends. In today's episode, we talk about our life here in Italy so far. It's been 9 months since we made the big leap over the pond, and we thought it would be a good time to reflect and provide an update. Has it been everything we dreamed it would be? Is it even better? What have been some of the challenges? Stay tuned and find out. Let's get started. Andiamo! Experience Italy with Friends is a travel and lifestyle podcast where we will explore our favorite destinations and hidden gems, share key travel tips and cultural insights, and provide real-time updates about our move to this remarkable country. Join me, Tanya Razzo, an Italian travel expert and founder of Amici Vacations, and my Italian husband and producer, Davide Razzo, on a journey that is sure to inspire you and prepare you to create immersive and authentic experiences of your own in the beautiful country of Italy. Hello again, Amici. I'm your host, Tanya, and I'm here with my husband, co-host, and producer, Davide.
Ciao, ciao, amici.
I want to start off by saying a huge thank you to all of our listeners. We've been steadily growing and expanding our reach, and I couldn't be more proud and excited. I know it's nothing compared to some of the big podcasts out there, and they might laugh at us, but it continues to blow me away that people all over the world are listening to us chat. I especially love hearing from some of you. We've gotten a few emails, and I genuinely appreciate the feedback and acknowledgement that people are truly listening. It really warms my heart.
Mine too.
So thank you for listening. Thank you to those that have written, and thank you for those that have joined our Facebook group, Experience Italy with Friends. I haven't been as good about posting in it as I'd like to be, but I also encourage all of you to post. Introduce yourselves, ask questions, or suggest future topics. It doesn't matter. Just let us know you're there.
I know Tanya doesn't always have time to answer those posts, but I do. So be ready for my answers.
Thanks, Davide. Okay, well, let's transition into today's episode. I had the idea that instead of providing a quick update on what we've been doing these past couple of weeks, we could reflect a little on our last 9 months of living here in Italy to provide you some insights for those considering moving here themselves.
Hey, can you believe it? It's been 9 months already. Time has gone so fast. Where do you want to begin?
Well, let's start with a quick recap for everybody. We made the leap and officially moved here last September 3rd, to be exact. We registered with the Comune in Calabria, and we started all of the official residency and immigration items there. But then we proceeded to live in multiple locations in Tuscany to try them out and look for a place to rent. If you remember from prior episodes, we spent a month in Pistoia, a month here in Montepulciano, a month in Castiglione Fiorentino. Then we spent the holidays over Poggibonsi, and I spent more time in Siena until we were able to move into our apartment here in our selected spot of Montepulciano. And we live just outside of the Centro Storico. Love the location. It's been everything we had hoped for. So now we've lived in Italy for 9 months, but only 4 of those months have been in one place. And we travel around quite a bit, so it's been challenging to feel settled. I guess it makes total sense that time has flown by. So Davide, let's answer some key questions that I thought people might have for us.
Okay.
First, is living here what we thought it would be?
Okay, well, I reflected on that, and the first thing that jumped out for me was the pace of life. It is way slower and not as frantic as in the US. We had this routine in the US with work and go and work out, or busy lives with the kids when they needed us, pick them up from school and bring them to their after school activities and so on and so on. And even lately, like in the last 2 or 3 years, it was kind of frantic. No matter what, you were working a lot, and I was working also a lot. So there was never like a time to kind of, I'm going to, sit down and do nothing. Or what we do now is sometimes we sit out on the balcony and just enjoy a glass of wine and look at the nice view. So the pace of life is is way slower here. And I also noticed that on when we are looking for things to be accomplished. Let's say we've been looking for a property, right? For 4 months, basically. And yes, we saw some properties, but everything takes its time. In the US, we probably would have had the chance to put offers on maybe 2 or 3 properties. And here it's all slower. Or I think I said it last time on the episode that, people are not afraid to tell you, okay, let's do tomorrow. So that's what I noticed. What was it for you what jumped out first?
Well, I mean, I do think life here is similar to what I thought it was going to be. And it hasn't been, our day-to-day a huge, huge change for me. I mean, I continue to work from home. So my daily lifestyle isn't too much different than what it was in the US. But I do have to say the timing is different and in many ways more enjoyable because, I get up, I work some in the morning. Then I go for a walk or I run errands or meet with hospitality partners during the afternoon. And then I work in the evenings when I can meet with clients or I just kind of get into a groove that instead of watching TV, I'm at the computer. So I feel like the overall day feels more relaxed and more enjoyable, even though I'm probably working just as many hours, if not more hours, but it's on my schedule versus, I don't know. And I guess in the US, I had to do everything during the day and then evenings were crammed with life. And now I have a little bit better balance between like living my day and working and more flexibility.
Yeah, I mean, we have the luxury to put our own hours, luckily. So when you entice me to, hey, let's go on a walk at the Centro Storico to get a nice schiaccia at the Schiaccia dell'Oppio, I almost say never no.
I always have to entice him with food, guys, though. Like he doesn't just go. I have to say, well, let's do a walk and then go get lunch. And then he's on board.
Yeah. But you're right. I mean, for me, it's the same because as you know, I'm producing podcasts still for a company back in Minnesota. And so I will get the recordings mostly either in the afternoon or in the evening. And then I'll sit down until sometimes at 11 or midnight to get these published at the same day. So, but then I get up in the next morning and my morning is free. So, and if I feel like I can go on a bike ride or just lounge. So, yeah. So, Tanya, what have been some of the things that we love about living here? I mean,
let me just kind of expand on like that daily walk that I try to get in. And I have to say the scenery during that walk is improved upon what it was in Minnesota, or I should say improved on what it was in Minnesota 7 months of the year.
How so? Explain that for people that don't know what Montepulciano looks like.
Okay, well, first of all, in Minnesota, again, we had snow. And it was too cold to go outside for a walk. So the fact that we can go on walks here year round is, a privilege. And during those walks, I am walking between vineyards and, dirt roads and looking at small stone houses and walking through the Centro Storico and peeking in at all the places, the tourists are shopping at, and we'll stop and get lunch sometimes. And it's just, and then I'll pause, at different overlooks and just admire the view and go, oh my gosh, I live here and it's beautiful. So I really enjoy my walks. I'm usually listening to a podcast while I'm doing so or talking with friends. But, kind of with that, I mean, the weather is definitely better. Mm-hmm. So that kind of goes hand in hand that I can go on walks all of these 9 months. And we don't have the extremes. I mean,
even though we had a little bit of a wet spring, but now I think summer is finally approaching, and
it is. But I mean, winter wasn't horrible. I mean, compared to again what we're used to. So people, depending on where you are in the world, if you were to move to Italy, I don't know how different the weather is, but for us, that's been a huge perk. Is that it's definitely more moderate.
Mm-hmm.
We have, it was cold in the winter, but nothing like we're used to. It's more about a wet cold,
Yeah.
but much better, much improved. So I think, that's been what we were looking forward to, and that's come true. Next, food is better, right? I mean,
Oh, yeah.
the quality of the food and the cost of the food. And it's just so different to go into the grocery store and not spend, the hundreds of dollars we were spending in the US to walk out with like 2 or 3 bags of groceries.
Yeah,
And
because you're trying to buy organic food because that's healthier in the US. And here you can go to a fruit stand and this is local stuff, local produce, and not grown with pesticides, and it's already organic. So
right, and it's seasonal. Like we went yesterday and had taglieri at one of our favorite enotecas here in town, and they brought out the same kind of charcuterie board we're used to, and this time it had a special edition of melon.
Yes.
And I was like, oh, that's right. It's summer. There's melon, so why not put melon with prosciutto on the charcuterie board?
I forgot to ask you, have you ever had that, the melon with a prosciutto?
Yes, I actually have.
Oh, okay, cool.
But I don't think it tasted nearly as good, when I've had it in the US, because it wasn't fresh melon like here, and it wasn't the authentic prosciutto. So it was a treat to have that. But I noticed that last night, like, oh, wow, gosh, the food continues to surprise me.
Yeah.
Just when I think I know what I'm going to get, it's like there was this new addition because of the season. What else do we love about living here? I think you have been loving your biking.
Yes, the biking is amazing. It's hard. It's harder than in Minnesota because in Minnesota we have no hills. Here I can choose to go biking in the hills, but there's also like mountains nearby that I could just drive close to the mountain. I haven't done it yet, but I think I'm going to do it this weekend while you're in Sardinia.
But also, you couldn't have done that in the winter either in Minnesota. Like your time of year that you could have gone biking was very restricted.
Yeah, here you can. Even in winter, you just have to wear a long sleeve stuff and cover yourself up. But
I don't think here you worry as much about being hit by a car as you did in the US.
And that is a big, big bonus because people here are used to bikers on the road.
Or I think they were willing to share the road.
Yeah, but the only thing I'm always concerned are not the Italians, drivers, but a lot of the tourists that come here, and they don't know how to handle them bikers on the road. So that's my only concern. There's the road, I think it's the Strada Statale 146 that goes from Montepulciano to all the way to Montalcino. That's the most famous road here. So I know not to ride that road on a Saturday morning or a Sunday afternoon. So I'm a little bit, I'm careful and I choose my routes carefully. So yeah, the biking has been amazing.
We have to mention the travel, right? You guys have been hearing about it on all of our different episodes, the places we've been, and we've gone to places nearby where we can just go have a picnic a mile from home and it feels like we went on a mini vacation. And we've gone further away. We've been up to Lake Como, we've been down to Ischia, and now I am going to be heading off to Sardinia. And it amazes me that we can travel so easily around the country, either in, a car or by train. And we're in some incredible destinations in a matter of hours. Blows me away. But again, all of these things that we're listing here were things we were hoping for and dreaming of. And I'm happy to say they came true.
Yeah. The only thing is that, we thought that we could travel by train more, which we still are and still can. I thought it would be cheaper to travel by train, but I find that you cannot be flexible to travel by train because tickets are really more expensive. If I would look for a ticket to go to Rome tomorrow, it's going to be more expensive than if I look for a ticket
a month in advance.
Yeah, a month in advance or so. So that's the only downside on it. But we have a car, so
right.
Okay, so Tanya, we talked about the good things. So let's talk about things that we found to be different and maybe a little bit frustrating.
Well, the food was
Food,
awesome.
come on, no, nothing.
Well, we just said we love it.
Yes.
But I have to say, I miss international food. And, I was just in the US, and that reminded me, of all the ethnicities that I was missing, Mexican and Japanese and Chinese, Indian, French. I mean, it's so much easier to run off and have that variety. And here you can too in the bigger cities. But like in the countryside where we are, I think our most ethnic food is the kebab.
The kebab sandwiches from the Indian people. I know, but I mean, you were in the US and you were telling me that, I'm going to Sushi Fix in Wayzata. Ooh, I'm jealous. So I thought, I'm going to have sushi tonight too. So I went to Sinalunga to this sushi place and it was terrible. It was just not the same. It's just like gas station quality of sushi. And I was so disappointed and I was so jealous of you having those awesome sushi pieces from Sushi Fix in Wayzata.
Well, I rightly so got my sushi fix.
Yeah, you got your fix.
It was awesome. So
anyway, so what else, Tanya?
Well, I mean, let's just talk about store and restaurant opening hours. I mean, that's been a little bit of an adjustment. And, you need to get used to the fact that you either need to get up and out of the house early or wait to go late afternoon, early evening to run all of your errands. And, we frequently have a slow start in the mornings because I work a little bit before we head out. And then we'll get into town and I realize it's kind of lunchtime and stores have shut for lunch or afternoon, and they're like, come back later. And I'm like, ugh. So I'm slowly getting the hang of it. And we also have to time when we're calling restaurants for reservations. And I'm like, okay, I feel like I have an alarm, 12 to 3, 7 to 10.
Yeah.
So, our whole schedule has shifted a little bit based on these hours.
But it's for like grocery shopping, for example, there's like, we just go to a day-to-day basis because like produce, you can only keep it for a couple days and not like weeks like in the US. And so you just go buy what you need to cook for the same day or the next day, and that's why the fridges are a little bit smaller here. So
Right. But you also had to learn when they're open because they will close fairly early in the evenings and certain nights even earlier.
Yeah, and sometimes I like to go on a Sunday and they are open on Sunday, but they close earlier on Sunday. So I was like, I missed my time to go to get milk or something.
Right, and not the 24/7 like we're used to.
Yes, so anyway.
So that has been something. Now, Davide, the other point of frustration for us that we probably complain about it way more than it's worth, but it seems to irritate us on a consistent basis, and that is the trash situation.
Don't get me started on trash, Tanya. It's
I'm getting you started. Tell those who are going to move to Italy how to mentally prepare for what to expect for trash around here.
I love it that you recycle and you have, like in the US, we have recycling, right? Cans, cardboards, and glass go all in a bin. And then you have trash, right? In the US.
They are starting with organic in the US, though.
Well, people do that on separately, and they have a compost or something like that. Here, they want you to collect the organic stuff separately in a biodegradable bag. So I learned it the hard way that you cannot put things in there for a week. You need to empty that bin. Not on a daily basis, but every two days, because otherwise that biodegradable bag is gonna tear up and then leak everything out. So that's the one thing that I say, like, come on, this is really frustrating. And then it's so frustrating even with, oh no, we collect glass separately, and then no, cardboard separately. No, and the cans can go with the glass and they can go also with the cardboard. But I think the most frustrating thing is in our situation, we live here in a condominium house where there's probably another 10 or 12 families. We have bins only for collection for the glass and the cans and the cardboard. So, and the organic, luckily the organic, because otherwise I don't know what to do with it. But if I have trash, I have to wait until Friday to put it out to be collected. And we might have trash already on Tuesday. And so then I have to keep it either on the balcony or bring it in the garage. And this is very frustrating. So I
think we need to spare them any more details. But anyway, it seems way more complicated than it should be. And someday we'll get it figured out to the point where it doesn't irritate us. Okay, so I'm going to rant a little bit now.
Okay.
My pet peeve is smoking. And, it's a point of frustration, but also, frankly, a point of surprise because Italy overall is very health conscious. I mean, people care about their food. They care about the quality of their wine. They want everything to be organic. They go on walks. They go on hiking. Like they're very active, health-minded people. But yet they still smoke. Like a huge percentage of the population is still smoking. And they're outside smoking because you can't smoke indoors. So you have to go indoors to get fresh air. It seems like what? And it's like if you go outside, you're on a terrace, you're on a street, like anywhere, you are subject to secondhand smoke. And not only do you have to endure it, you need to do it with a smile on your face because if you show any sense of being annoyed by somebody's smoke, they get very indignant and act like it's their right to be smoking. And if I have a problem, it's my problem.
Yeah, that's a big frustration here in Italy and in Europe in general. I mean, Switzerland is the same. And I mean, it's, like the other day, we went to the Schiaccia dell'Oppio to get our favorite Schiaccia sandwiches. And nearby, there's a small square where we can sit down and enjoy the view of the Val di Chiana and the lake. We can see the lake from there. And most tourists hang out there too, and they smoke, and it's just, I don't know, that's frustrating. So,
right.
Yeah.
I don't know. So that's my little piece of venting and maybe they'll migrate, evolve into where the US and other places are at. But I do feel like it's very ingrained in the culture here. So I will just have to live with it.
Okay. So Tanya, we've been living here in Montepulciano for 4 months now. And I think people might have the question of, hey, how easy was it for you guys to integrate? Did you guys make friends? Or how was it for us to start a new life here in Montepulciano?
Well, I think anytime you move to a new city or a new state or a new anywhere, it's hard. But moving to a foreign country takes that to a whole new level. I mean, we came here knowing very few people. I mean, we've had family, thank goodness. And, luckily we've been able to meet people through my line of work and having, all these hospitality partners that have become friends of ours. But overall, I mean, integrating is challenging. And even though we've made those connections and we've gone to many events, it feels like we're living in a bubble in many ways. Like we work from home and we travel frequently and we're here hanging out with each other. And I have to say too, like we've become way more dependent on each other. And that's been a huge change. And so thank goodness we're best friends because it's challenging at times.
Well, this is proof she's still alive, guys. So
and I haven't killed him yet. But I mean, we've never both been home together working at the same time. And then we do everything else together. So I don't know, maybe that's a change most retirees go through once you are both at home and empty nesters. And so we've done this a little bit earlier than maybe scheduled, but it's great, honey.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it is.
But overall, I would say we need to make more of an effort to get involved in the community, and both together and separately. And, especially me with the language, I need to get out there.
Yeah. Hey, speaking of language, com'è il tuo italiano?
My Italian is challenging. It's been difficult. And, I'm not going to lie. It seems like it should be easier than it is. And maybe it is because of age. But I've been introduced to Italian, for 27 years now. So I don't even have a huge excuse. But I have to say, I've learned to understand a lot.
Yeah, you do.
And, you have to be careful when you're with your friends talking about things because you're like, oh, she understands. And I think they quickly know that I'm understanding. But I have to intently listen. And so if people are talking too fast or I'm distracted, like I don't know what's going on. And I'm still very much translating in my head. And I need to get beyond that point. But, my vocabulary has grown a lot, but I just don't feel confident speaking. And it's really easy to default to you. And, people ask like, well, Davide speaks Italian. Why don't the two of you speak Italian with each other at home? And we try, right?
Well, we try. Okay, so we've known each other for 28 years or more. Yeah, 28 years, right? Yeah. So, and we only talked English with each other. I think it's really hard to switch. We tried it a couple times, but it always goes back to English.
It feels awkward. Like so much of our memories, our relationship, like how we communicate is based in English language. But I think also it's hard to be a teacher with people close to you, and you don't have the patience with people who are close to you. So I get frustrated that I get corrected every other word I say. So we're like, oh, no, that was fun. Let's try.
I think you need to immerse yourself with the people here. So that's my only advice. And so that means when you get together with your, coworkers or, partners, speak Italian to them.
No,
Try.
I need to go out by myself. I need to do that more. And also I need to start watching all of our shows in Italian versus it's so easy to turn on Netflix and our streaming services in English when I'm tired at the end of the day. So anyway, and now in the fall when things kind of get more into a routine, I plan to enroll in school and make it more of a specific focus. So overall, though, to answer your question, it's been hard to learn Italian. So anyone moving over here, if you can get a head start on that, highly recommend it. So now, Davide, next question for you. How difficult did we find the bureaucratic, immigration items that we had to complete? I mean, for you, it was pretty easy.
Sort of, yeah. It was easy for me to say, hey, I'm back in Italy. Actually, I was never back. Here I am.
Okay, let's just back up. I mean, you guys all know Davide is an Italian citizen. So he relocated here. He didn't immigrate here. So it was a completely different process. But I mean, it went pretty smooth, right?
Yeah, but I'm saying I'm not back. It's because I was born in Switzerland. I grew up in Switzerland. I never lived in Italy. So I cannot say I'm back. But it was easy, fairly easy for me. I showed up at the municipio and the commune and showed my passport and I told them, hey, I live here now with my parents. And then of course you go all through the necessary forms and stuff like that. But
I mean, in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, you had your residency, your ID card, your healthcare, your driver's license. I mean, you were set.
I was set, and you almost too. I mean,
right. I mean, I would say mine was a similar experience, but I mean, I had a couple of hiccups that I think we've talked about in other episodes. And,
yes.
But, it was pretty quickly. The easier parts were the residency, the ID card, the healthcare. And, the Carta di Soggiorno kind of still is a little perplexing for us because we applied way back in September. I didn't have my appointment interview until April, of which then I was able to get fingerprinted. They asked for some more documents. It took weeks to be able to figure out how to get into the office again to deliver those documents.
Well, my poor dad, he had to go several times because we left there's another thing. We registered our residency in the town of my parents. If for people that don't know that, and we live in Montepulciano, which is in Tuscany. So my parents are in Calabria, and so
I would say our primary residence is in Calabria, and our secondary residence is here in Tuscany.
The domicile. We have a domicilio here in Montepulciano. But anyway, so it was tough, and I think learning from other people that went through this process. For each of them, it was different. So, and even for you, and even like to be surprised that we needed all these additional documents, even though the form itself for the appointment, it said which forms they wanted, and the forms that they actually wanted were not on that form. It was very frustrating, and I think that a lot of...
And we had handed those forms into other agencies for different purposes. So, I don't know. Lesson learned in all of this is even if you feel like you've given those original documents to all the places they needed to be, just get more of them and bring them with you to your appointment in case they're needed again.
Yeah.
But now, I mean, we're just having to be patient. Like, we're not even quite sure what the status is. We think we did everything.
I don't know. I mean, patience. So patience.
It was smooth, yet perplexing in many ways. So you just had to ask a lot of questions and be patient to cross all the T's and dot the I's and redo them if necessary.
Mm-hmm.
So how about the other administrative items of getting established? How challenging did you find them? I mean, like, we had to do bank accounts, buying a car, and figuring out utilities. I mean, overall, pretty smooth from, my reflection.
Yes, for me it was because I'm citizen. But let's keep in mind that I could not add you to our bank account. So I could just leave you now and go away with that money. But no, so I could not add you to the bank account, which now we can because we are like fiscal residents here in Italy as well. And that's why they wouldn't allow you to put you on. Then, car purchasing is also different, and it's a complete different experience. Like now you went back to the US to buy a car for our daughter, and I prepared everything. I negotiated everything over email and Zoom. You just went there and signed the papers. And here it took weeks and weeks, and we waited for the call for like 2 weeks or something like that to be in our hands. So
again, patience. Patience. Insurance was pretty similar. I would say getting insurance for the vehicle, and no one likes to pay insurance for either country.
Yeah. So, well, actually, we got lucky because the car insurance is very unique here. They have points. So when you're fresh here in Italy, they put you on the highest rate. And the more you drive without any claims, you go down. And because my parents were on the lowest rate, they put me on the lowest rate too. But if it wasn't for my parents, they would have put me on the highest rate.
Yeah, so we got lucky there.
Yeah.
I have to say an area we haven't had the best luck is exchange rate. and that is always about luck. I feel like, we worked with a great partner, GC Partners out of London, to educate us on the process. And you're still kind of rolling the dice. And we had done a forward contract at one point, and then we thought we should move money, and then life was crazy, and then we didn't. And I don't know. I'm not used to thinking about the exchange rate, or wasn't. And now I feel like I think about it all the time, and I'm constantly monitoring it and wondering if we should move money between accounts. And I don't like it, I have to say. And it feels like an immediate discount to your money whenever you move it over and the exchange rate becomes more unfavorable. So I have to say that's been a new lesson to learn and a little frustrating.
Okay, so we told people that we were looking for properties here in Italy, and we learned a few things by doing so. So Tanya, what are the biggest, differences than home shopping in the US versus home shopping here?
Well, I would say the key difference is how you even find a property listing, right? In the US, it's super simple because we've got this MLS system where everything gets listed in one place. You can look up what's available, what is it being listed for, how does it compare to, comps in the area. Here, there's no one central place. So you're reliant either to monitor all the different real estate agents' websites, what you walk across in different towns, and they're on their front windows. And then you reach out and you contact the listing agent. Now, we've been a little bit different in the sense that we had reached out to some agents while we were looking for a rental, and they were great. And then they're helping us take the lead on looking for a property to buy. But I think it's been primarily like their own listings. And so if we want to find properties listed by others, we have to do a little bit on our own. And, I think we've been now expanding, but so that alone is something different in the process.
Maybe I may add that there are some websites here, national, like casa.it or immobiliare.it or Idealista. And I mean, I'm looking at those listings there, and sometimes I found like, oh, this one is nice. And then you write the real estate agent, or I forward it to our agent, and they come back saying, oh, it's an old listing. So people forget to take off the listings when they sell. And it's been really frustrating. And then you see listings there. I mean, I still see listings that I saw last year, maybe in January, February.
Wow.
Yeah. So
okay.
You can't rely on that. So,
but then let's say we have a real listing and it's current and we want to go see it. Like even that process is slower, and we've had to often take weeks to get an appointment at certain places due to, I'm not even sure what reason.
Yeah, let's go back to what we said about slower pace.
Yes. But it's like, yes, you can come see it in 3 weeks. Okay. But then let's just say, okay, now we were successful in getting an appointment and we go tour.
Yeah.
Now, even that is different.
Uh-huh.
And, today actually somebody just enlightened me with the Italian perspective of that. But I have found it a little bit strange that the owner is on property when you go tour the property. And in the US, you're deliberately banned from your home. You have a real estate agent, they schedule a showing, you need to clean up, you need to leave, and they text you when you can come back home and saying all is clear, and you're not able to meet the buyer for many different regulatory reasons. So here, I was a little bit surprised to show up and it's the owner touring the property, and that's fine. You can ask questions. It's great to see what they're passionate about. And, but you also have to be careful about how you react to what you're seeing so that you don't offend or, I found it just to be a little bit awkward that I'm going to say something or express something that I don't want to.
Yeah, I had to stop you several times. Let's talk in the car. And even though, she cannot understand me, I said, yeah, they can. They tell you they don't speak English. They understand English. Don't worry, they know. And so it's that's a little bit frustrating because you're not used to that. And
yeah, but the Italian perspective today, when I mentioned that to a friend, she's like, oh, I would find that odd not to have the owner there because I wouldn't trust the real estate agent, to be honest. And the owner is going to look me in the eye and answer my questions and be more real. So I'm like, well, I guess there is that perspective, but it just feels a little weird. And I think too, because you're looking for my reaction when we look at properties, the real estate agent is watching my face for my reaction, and the owner's looking at me, and I'm like, you guys all quit looking at me.
Yeah. I think the one thing that I learned too is I'm glad that we have our own agent that is looking out for us, because that's also not typical here in Italy. And I think we found this person because she likes us and she wants to help us. But she's been stellar so far because we've seen properties forwarded to her, and the immediately thing that she says is, let me check out the property. Let me talk to the owners first, because what I want to find out if there are things in the house that are not built per code. In Italy, you might find properties that things are not per code. And so when you buy it without an agent, for example, and you buy the house, you buy as is, but then you resell it and they find something that it's not per code, guess who's liable? You are, as the seller. And so you have to fix it. So that's why I'm glad we have somebody in our corner that looks out for us.
No, for sure. Hey, another thing I wanted to highlight here is the status of the homes, or sometimes the state of the homes when we go tour them. Like in the US, again, it's a huge thing. Your real estate agent is on your case that the home better be staged, no clutter, no personal items, needs to look perfect for that showing. And here, I guess it's a reflection of how long it takes, the process to it works, and they don't want to live differently during this long process. So it is what it is. Like, they're in the middle of making lunch. If it was laundry day and it's all piled up in the laundry, that's what it is. And they might be accumulating many things over the years, and it's piled up in the garage and you get to see it.
Yeah, I mean, I learned to go see properties with my own eyes and just imagine the spaces with our stuff. That's the only thing I can do. And if it's too overwhelming, there might be a reason, not to choose that property. So
anyway, property buying has been a little bit of a different process, but with everything in Italy, patience.
Okay, next question. People might ask, are we homesick yet?
Are we? No, I mean,
I don't know.
What do we miss about home? So, of course, we miss our family and friends. But today's technology makes it easier to stay connected. And, I say this because I can compare it to when I lived in Switzerland 25 years ago. And I was there for 3 years in the late 90s, and I had to pay for phone calls. I mean, they got cheaper for sure than what they were originally. But largely, I was limited to email. And now with FaceTime, WhatsApp, Zoom, how many messaging platforms do we have? I mean, I feel very connected. And, I'm frequently FaceTiming our daughter. I'm on Zoom calls with clients, so I'm seeing them face to face. We're, being able to use WhatsApp. And, I continue to go on walks. I mentioned this earlier, like with my friends and my sister on the phone, and we're just in different countries.
Or our son right now is up about 6,000 meters up in a mountain in Peru, and he's still able to text. So isn't that awesome?
Incredible. I mean, I guess the biggest complaint of people, and our daughters particularly, is the time difference. Like, I have to be careful. Like, you guys are sleeping and I can't call you. But staying in touch is definitely easier. So while I miss them, there's ways around it. Then what else do we miss? I mean, we mentioned the international food already. We miss some of our favorite products. Like, I don't know why it is so hard to change toothpaste brands after all these years.
It's just something that I've been using this. I moved to the US. I've been buying that toothpaste since the beginning. So for 25 years, I had that toothpaste, and my teeth luckily are great. So why change a winning team?
I think we just get stuck in our habits. So maybe over time we will discover new favorites here in Italy, but we do miss some of our products. When I was home there, I stocked up on many of them and brought them back.
Thank you.
What else do we miss? We miss our clothes dryer.
You do.
I miss our clothes dryer. Like, we bought one, and so I think we're probably privileged in the small percentage of people who actually own a dryer here in Italy, because most people hang their clothes out to dry. And we do, but I like to fluff them. And the heat is just not the same. Like, they don't get as hot. They don't function the same. They're more, to me, slightly heated dehumidifiers that pull the water out.
Yeah, basically. But that's why I hang them outside now. And now in summer, I mean, it's in an hour, they're dry.
I know, but they're just not as soft and they're wrinkly. Anyway, I miss our dryer. Having screens on the windows is not as common here in Italy. I mean, I wouldn't say, I don't even know what percentage it is, but it's probably at least 50-50. Some do, some don't. But they do have mosquitoes here and flies. And our current apartment does not have screens on the windows. And so we spend at least some portion of every day killing flies.
Okay, I need to stop you here. You complain about screens before complaining not having AC?
Yes, I can live without the air. I hate the bzz, bzz. And mosquito bites, right? I mean, our daughter was here too in the spring semester, and she was saying in the dead of winter, she had mosquitoes in her Florence apartment and she would wake up with mosquito bites. So do miss having screens on the windows. But Davide, you mentioned the lack of central heat and central air, and we were spoiled with that in the US. And
absolutely.
I'm sure it's definitely more environmentally friendly that we don't have that here. But we spent the winter always feeling somewhat chilled. And
yeah,
now,
but I mean, it was nice. We have a fireplace, so I would make a fire and would heat up the whole living room, basically.
And smoke up the living.
Sometimes. But now I kind of have it down now. So, but the bedrooms, I actually was happy that they were a little bit cooler.
We slept better.
Because now it's like, open the window, or we just bought a fan. So.
Yes. But as soon as you open the windows, then they're like, the doors are banging open and you've got flies. So anywho, those are the things we miss. But overall, I have to say we strangely, like, I don't miss per se living in the US. Like I don't think, oh God, life was easier. Life was more convenient. Life was, I don't know what. Because I just feel overall the quality of life here seems better for many of those reasons we've already talked about. And I guess, I mean, it's lived up to what we were hoping it was going to be, you know, and we've just obviously vented some of the things that we don't love. But overall, it seems more enjoyable. And maybe we're still in the honeymoon phase where, because it slightly feels like we're on vacation all the time, that we haven't fully lived up to like just regular life. But I'm liking it so far.
Yeah. I mean, okay, folks, we're not going to come back to the US anytime soon. Sorry. Okay, so the last point we want to make, Tanya, is the whole process of coming here to Italy. Would we do anything differently this time if we would have to do it again?
I mean, it's a really tough question. Good question. But I mean, looking back, it's so hard to have like 2020, you know, hindsight's 2020, and could we have done things differently? But, you know, we've talked about this a little bit together over the 9 months. And I guess one of the things we still don't know if we're fully into agreement on or not is like, should we have stayed in each of those locations just a little bit longer? And I think it would have been, I mean, because we had so much going on that 1 month didn't seem enough. Like the moving process, and then we'd have to make a trip to Calabria or go somewhere else, and you would just feel settled, and then we went to the next one. So should we have stayed longer in each one? And then, you know, you brought up the point, an alternative could have been
just go like start a process earlier and go for a month to one location, go back to the US, then go back again for another month to a different location, and just kind of spread it out a little bit. And in the meantime, maybe look for a rental or for a property while there, you know, but
then it would have felt like we would have had a foot in both countries and try to maintain jobs in the US and try to maintain a routine, and then to come here for a month or two. And
that was the hard part. Yeah, that would have been hard.
So it would have been challenging, and then the extra cost of plane tickets back and forth and such. So we're kind of still not sure, you know, what we could have done differently there, but I think staying longer in each place maybe would have been an option. Then we've debated, like, should we have kept our things in storage in the US longer until we had a place where it could have been shipped directly?
Yeah, I'm going to stop you right there. I mean, 6 months without my bed was too long. So if I had to wait for my bed until we would have a property to send it to, I don't think I would make it. So
yeah, so actually that is a good lesson learned to share with anybody who's debating, bring your bed or don't bring your bed. We're in team bring your bed, especially like we have a Sleep Number bed. I think we've talked about it before. We love it. And it was well worth shipping it over here, and it works perfectly. I guess lastly, as I was reflecting on this, like had we waited until we were truly retired, would that have been easier to come here and just focus on the relocation aspect and finding a home? But I have to say, having work and being at work while we're here and establishing ourselves has also provided purpose and passion and a lot of connections to people. So again, it's made it hard to do all the things we've been doing and maintain our own companies. Mm-hmm. And I mean, it's more stressful for sure that if you were retired and coming over here and just focusing on where should I live and let's buy a property and should we relax today or go on a hike today or go travel today or go to language school. Like doing this as a retiree would definitely be maybe easier, but I don't know. I do like having a sense of purpose.
You mean also for a financial aspect?
Well, potentially. I wasn't even actually thinking that part, but I was just thinking from a time standpoint that we're having to juggle maintaining a normal routine in life and commitments, work commitments, while we are still learning a new language, learning a new country, finding a place to live.
Exactly. No, I agree. I agree.
Something to think about as you're like, what stage of your life do you do this in? There's pros and cons to everything. But okay, overall, I have to say, I wouldn't have done many things differently, and the positives that we've experienced here definitely way outweigh any negatives. And we still have a ton more to learn. We're just still at the beginning of all this. I mean, 9 months has seemed like 3 months in many ways. It seemed like a lifetime on other days. And has it been easy? No. Has it been worth it?
Yes.
So I don't know. Anything else you want to say to wrap it up, Davide? And
it's been an adventure, I have to say. And but we seen progress, which is really nice. And I was hoping to have a property that by now, but we learned that everything goes slower here, and I'll be patient. And
we've also learned, and quite confidently throughout our lives, that if it's meant to be, it's meant to be.
Yes.
And things have a strange way of working out.
Yeah.
And we never thought we would actually move to Italy.
Yeah.
And it did. We did.
Yeah.
And we're still here. So, and we're positive about it. So let's end on that positive note.
I think that was almost an hour again. So, but
every time we think this is going to be the shorter episode.
Okay. Well, Tanya, do you still have any tips for people? Tips from Tanya.
I have to summarize the entire episode with the one tip of, if you are dreaming of moving to Italy, do it.
Do it.
Make the leap. It won't be easy, but it's worth it.
All right. Let's leave it at that.
Okay. Well, thank you again, everybody, for listening. If you have any questions we didn't think of and didn't answer,
write us.
You know where to post them on our Facebook group page, Experience Italy with Friends. So we're headed to the island of Sardinia, and we will have an update for you about what we learned in 2 weeks.
In 2 weeks. Ciao, everyone.
Arrivederci.
Ciao, ciao.
We hope you've enjoyed Experience Italy with Friends. If you like the podcast, remember to follow us and leave a review letting us know what you found to be the most helpful. And if you want expert advice or assistance in creating your own immersive and authentic experience in Italy, visit us at www.amicivacations.com.